Hey everybody, in this video we are going to be going over some of the examples from the Module 3 Notes page. The topic this week is dimensional analysis and conversions, and this is really helpful throughout your nursing education as you will later learn how to do dosage calculations. We'll do a few in this video, um, and this will be really crucial to understand as you move forward throughout the program. So we're going to do a few different types of examples. We're going to convert between units of measurement with prefixes and bases. We'll also convert between different systems of measurement, and then we'll also do dosages. So in the top section of the notes here, we have a chart here that kind of helps us understand how to make various conversions. And these prefixes up here are common ones that you might see. For example, like the prefix kilo, kilogram, kilometer, refers to when you have 1,000 of a base unit. When you have 1,000 of a base unit, you have 1 kilo of something. So 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. When you have a base unit, that's just our simplest way of measuring something. 1 gram is 1 gram. It's a base unit. We might also sometimes have centimeters, which is when you have 100 of that item, you're going to equate that to one of the base unit, or milliliters, milligrams are also very common in dosages and medications. Here are those conversion factors. So this is something that these are some conversions that you should eventually memorize. So that way, when you're doing these conversions, you can easily and quickly use them. And the more you practice, the more you'll be able to quickly memorize them. So we'll see some examples here now that go over each one of these. So I'll show you one of each kind for the most part in this video. That way you get the hang of how to do conversions. We're also going to use a chart that looks like this right here. This is just an example that converts seconds into a day, into days. The method that you should see here is that each column that follows the previous one matches closely with the previous column. So you also see that there's one of that unit in the numerator, one in the denominator. That's how we are able to make conversions, is by multiplying these. These are each fractions, these conversion factors, to get to what we want. So we'll see a similar process in some of these examples here. So let's look at A1. In A1, we're going to convert 40 milliliters into liters. And from our conversion chart above, whenever you have milli, that's 1,000 of that item. 1,000 milliliters is equal to 1 of the base unit. This is something that you should memorize when you're converting from milliliters to liters. This is a common one that shows up in dosage calculations. And we set up our chart by creating a horizontal line and then a vertical one. In some examples, we might build more vertical lines, creating more columns as we go across. So it really depends on the question, but we always start with this. And the first box is always going to have what the question gave us, 40 milliliters. That's what we want to convert. Now, just like above, we started with seconds, so our next column needs to have seconds below it. So in this question, we're starting with milliliters. So our next column, we need to put something with milliliters here. And we notice that in our conversion factor, you have milliliters. You're going to place the 1,000 milliliters down here. That came from there. And then whatever it's equal to goes right above it. That 1 liter is equivalent to 1,000 milliliters. This right here is a conversion factor. Now we notice that we have a milliliter and a milliliter in the numerator and the denominator, and we're left with liters now that doesn't cancel yet. And it's because that's what we want to end up with. So when you want to finish the conversion, we just multiply across the top and we multiply across the bottom, which in this case, on the top, we have 40 times 1, which is 40. Across the bottom, there's just one number, so we're going to keep that number, 40 over 1,000. So go to our calculator, 40 divided by 1,000 gives us 0.04. 0.04. And this answer is going to be in liters now. So we can just put an L after it. We're no longer in milliliters, we're just in liters. So now we can say 40 milliliters is equal to 0.04 liters. Let's try another example. In this one, we're going to convert from grams to kilograms. And our conversion is whenever we have kilo, we're thinking about 1,000 of the base unit. So 1,000 grams is equivalent to 1 kilogram. And we're going to set up our chart again, and we're going to place what was in the question in the first spot of this chart. And now in the next column, I want kilograms down here. So now I need to adjust that. That should be grams, 85 grams. So now I want to place grams in the denominator here. So grams is going to be that 1,000 grams, and above it is going to be 1 kilogram. We can cancel out our grams unit, and now we can multiply across the top and the bottom. So we get 85 over 1,000 this time. So go into our calculator, we divide 85 over 1,000 and we get 0.085. And now our answer is in kilograms. Okay, looking at A3, this one again tells us kilograms this time to grams, so it involves kilograms and grams. We're going to be using the same conversion chart this time, or the same conversion factor, because we're thinking about grams and kilograms, except this time we're going to go from kilograms to grams. So since we already use this conversion factor here, you should try this part on your own and then compare with the key later on. I'm going to show a different example now. Let's do A4. A4 is centimeters to meters. Now, above in our conversion chart, we have the section that says centi, or commonly used with centimeters. We know that 100 centimeters will always be equal to 1 meter. So we're going to set this up the same way we did earlier in the other examples. We start with our chart, 1,850 centimeters. And to convert it, we want centimeters down here. We see we have the 100, which is equivalent to 1 meter. Now we can cancel, multiply across the top and the bottom. We get 1850 over 100. And so when we divide that, I trust you can do that in your calculator, you should end up getting 18.5. And this answer now is converted into meters. Right, let's try A5. So A5 says convert 3 meters to millimeters. So we see this lowercase m, that refers to milli, and this other lowercase m is meters. I know this looks a little confusing, but just make a note to yourself that this is millimeters. That's what each of those letters represents. This right here just says meters. There's no prefix to it. you just see a single M, that's meters, but if you see M in front of another letter, that first letter is referring to milli. When we have milli, we know that 1,000 of those items, millimeters, is equivalent to 1 meter. So we set this up just like we've done on the previous examples, 3 meters, put 1 meter down there, and we have 1,000 millimeters up here. We can mark out our canceled units there. This should end up with 3,000 over 1, or just 3,000 millimeters is what our new answer ends up with. A6 converts from meters to kilometers. So when we're going from base to kilo, we know that kilo represents 1,000 of the base unit. 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. So see if you can set this up on your own and check with the key later on. Let's look at section B now. Section B involves examples that use uh, conversions between two different metric systems. Whenever you're converting between systems, that indicates that we're going from, for example, centimeters to a different system, inches or feet, for example. Towards the back of your packet, you'll see that you'll have a formula chart that has several conversion factors on it. That formula chart looks like this right here. It's the system to system conversion chart, metric to US conversion. Metric is meters, kilometers, centimeters. The US system uses inches, feet, yards, etc. So on this chart, you have a lot of different conversion factors that you can use. So we'll be using this chart for section B now. So looking at B1, it says convert centimeters to inches. So we look at our conversion chart. Centimeters and inches measures length. So we're going to look in this list to see if we have a centimeter to inch conversion factor. And if you see right here, we have this first one, the 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. We can use that. We could also use this other one down here that has inches equals centimeters. It doesn't matter which one. Usually this first one is used. 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So in B1, I'm going to write that 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. Now to convert this, we're going to use the same process as before now. 33 centimeters is equal to, or in our next column, we need to place centimeters down here, and we see that right there. We're going to put the 2.54 centimeters and the 1 inch up there. And just like before, we can cancel and then just multiply straight across, which leaves us with 33 times 1, or 33, and in the denominator, 2.54. Now when you do this, you'll end up getting in your calculator 12.992. And now our answer is in inches. Let's try another example. Let's try converting from meters to feet. So when you convert from meters to feet, this is going between the metric system to the US system. So looking at our conversion chart, we want to find, again in the length one, do you see one that says anything about meters to feet or feet to meters? We see this one right here. We see that 3.28 feet is equal to 1 meter. That's the common conversion factor used. 3.28 feet. 3.28 feet is equal to 1 meter. And now we just set this up. 81 meters is equivalent, or we place the 1 meter down here and we place the 3.28 feet up here. And the reason we place meters down there was because we always want one in the top and one in the bottom. Both of those should cancel. Now we end up with 81 times 3.28 across the top, and we'll have a 1 in the denominator. When you multiply across the top, you should get 265.68 over 1. That doesn't need further simplification, so that's just going to be 265.68 feet. B3 says to convert from yards to centimeters. So I've done 2 examples. I'll just set you up here with the conversion factor. We want to find a length measurement going from yards to centimeters. So on this example, we want to find the yard to centimeter conversion, and there it is. 1 yard is equal to 91.4 centimeters. 1 yard is equal to 91.4 centimeters. So I'll just leave you with this on this example. See if you can set up your chart and convert 5 yards. You can check your key after you've finished that problem. Now let's do the same thing for each of these now. We're converting from quarts to liters here. So what is the conversion factor? Quarts and liters are capacity or amounts that you would measure for a liquid, for example. Well, we see quarts and liters in a couple of these. The most common one used here is the 1.06 quarts. For B4, 1.06 quarts is equal to 1 liter. So now you can use the same process to convert and use this as your conversion factor. We're going to convert from miles to centimeters on B5. And we look, we see miles in many different spots, but we don't see centimeters here. So we're going to need 2 conversion factors here. We see miles to meters. We don't see miles to centimeters. So we need to use 2 conversions here. So let's work this one out together. 1 mile is equivalent to 1,610 meters. We need to get to centimeters after that. So I'm going to write this down. 1 mile is equal to 1,610 meters. I'm using meters here because meters can also be converted to centimeters. We just need one more conversion factor that converts from meters to centimeters now. Well, we know from the previous section A that 100 centimeters is equivalent to 1 meter. So in this example, this is the first time you'll see it like this. We're going to have more than what we've just seen in all the other examples. We're going to start with 1 mile though, just like we always do. And I want to now convert that to meters first, and then we'll have a new column that incorporates the second conversion factor. But the idea or the pattern still holds that, okay, if I have miles right here, I'm going to put miles down here. I see that in this first conversion factor. We'll put 1 mile down here, but we'll put 1610 meters up here, and we're going to now section off another column. So we just used this first one, which canceled miles, miles. Now that we have meters, we're going to repeat the process one more time, and now we're going to put our meters down here. So 1 meter goes below here, and 100 centimeters goes up here. So now we can cancel out our meters because we use this conversion factor. This is exactly what we wanted to happen. We just needed 2 conversion factors instead of just 1. Now we multiply across the top and the bottom. And when you have multiple, more than 2 numbers, you're going to multiply all of them. 1 times 1,610 times 100. So when you do this across the top, you're going to get 161,000. And across the bottom, you just have 1 times 1 this time. It's a 1 down there. This is the same thing as just 161,000 centimeters. Okay, let's try B6. On B6, we're going to convert 2 gallons to milliliters. So we need to try to see if we can find a capacity that goes from gallons to milliliters. But over here, I don't see any milliliters, I just see liters. And we see 1 gallon is equivalent to 3.79 liters. So we need to use the first conversion here is that 1 gallon is equal to 3.79 liters. I want to go from liters to milliliters. So in order to do that, we need to use the milli conversion. 1,000 milliliters is equivalent, when you have milli, you have 1 base unit, 1 liter. So again, we're going to have 3 total columns when we do this. 2 gallons. And then right here we'll have the gallon conversion, 3.79. We're going to go to liters. So gallons, we can mark that out. And now we go to the next column, which is going to be converting to milliliters. 1 liter goes down here, 1,000 milliliters goes up here, and now we can mark out our liters, liters. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. When we do this, across the top you should get 7,580 all over 1. Which just simplifies to 7580 again. So we just saw a couple more examples that are built onto another column for each of these. So you're not always going to just have a simple 2-column multiplication. You might have 3 columns, or later on we might have more than 3 as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this video here. This was section A and section B. Before I pause though, just wanted to reiterate. So for section A, these are the conversion factors that you should have memorized. When we're going from like milliliters to liters or grams to kilograms, those conversion factors are not on this formula chart, so you will need to memorize those. Section B, these conversion factors you do not need to memorize because this conversion chart will be given to you on the midterm exam, so you won't need to memorize those. So I'm going to pause it here, but in the next video, I'll show you examples that are a little bit more in-depth and related to doing dosage calculations on the back page. So in the next video, we'll pick it back up with B7.